I've been out of politics for a few years now. And I've had a chance to think a lot about what makes our country so great. What kind of leadership is required to keep it great?
Someone was screaming "you." I don't know if you could make that out there in the background. There's former Secretary of State, former First Lady Hillary Clinton stepping back into politics just a short time ago in Virginia. She was stumping for her friend Terry McAuliffe, who's of course running for governor there. The brain trust is here. Christine Niedermeier, former U.S. Senate Chief of Staff, now runs the Straight Scoop Politics blog. Perry Bacon, an MSNBC contributor, also political editor of the Grio, and Matt Welch, editor-in-chief at Reason Magazine. Christine, let me start with you. Mrs. Clinton, there in the Commonwealth, you worked with her during her presidential campaign. Can we draw any long-range inferences from her appearance this afternoon?
Well, if she were here, she would tell you she still hasn't made a decision.
And if she were here, I would say the same thing that I'm saying to you. I don't believe you.
I know. Well, for all intents and purposes, the infrastructure is in place.
Yeah.
As you know, the Ready for Hillary organization
was it ever dismantled?
Well, you know what's different this time than last time, because I was involved last time, and there were two mistakes, I think, that the organization felt they made last time. One was not having as many experienced presidential operatives, and they brought on some of the Obama operatives, and Craig Smith, who was in the White House as political director, has been brought on. And number two, they took Barack Obama for granted until it was too late. And I think they're not going to take Joe Biden for granted, even though he's pretending not to really be out front until she makes a decision.
Perry, Christine just mentioned America's happy warrior, Joe Biden there. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporting on Mrs. Clinton's presence at an Atlanta business event Tuesday. And the report itself featured a somewhat provocative quote from Republican State Representative Tom Taylor, who said in part, quote, "Time and time again, Clinton mentioned the vice president's opposition to the raid while characterizing herself and Leon Panetta, then director of the Central Intelligence Agency, as the action's most fierce advocates." Could the former secretary have been laying the ground for what's going to be perhaps a line of attack against Joe Biden?
Craig, I would not read that much into this. I've sort of seen some reporting subsequent to that saying that she made a reference to this once or twice. Yeah. This was not like some kind of big anti-Biden part of her speech. It was a long speech. She mentioned this. Joe Biden has already said in the past he was opposed to the raid anyway. And to be totally honest, if you look at the polls, I don't think Hillary Clinton should be worried about Joe Biden. I don't mean to say that disparaging of him, but she's well ahead in the polls. Most Democratic operatives, even some who are close to Biden, consider her by far the front runner. I think in Elizabeth Warren, someone like that's probably a more likely person to upset Hillary Clinton the same way that Obama did a few years ago. I don't think that she's looking to attack Joe Biden. She's in fact been publicly very praiseworthy of him in the past. So I don't see it that way, Craig.
You just see us cable news folks trying to gin up some trouble. That's what it sounds like, Perry. Let's talk about the other big story this week, Obamacare and the glitches that continue while we were all focusing on the shutdown and the debt crisis. Obamacare gets rolled out, the Affordable Care Act, depending on which house you live in, that determines what you call it. Computer glitches made the site inaccessible for many. That's indisputable. The House is going to be holding a hearing on the Obamacare glitch Thursday. HHS has confirmed that Secretary Kathleen Sebelius will not be testifying at that hearing. She, of course, has been the administration's point person on the rollout itself. Speaker John Boehner wasting no time going on the attack, tweeting a short time ago, HHS Secretary Sebelius has time for galas and late-night TV, but will not be testifying about the Obamacare train wreck. And we also just reported a short time ago that she's going to be at this event with Patrick Kennedy as well. How much of a mistake is it, Matt Welch, for Kathleen Sebelius to not show up at that congressional hearing?
I think it's a big mistake, but it pales in the comparison of the colossal mistake of the way that the administration has rolled out Obamacare, rolled out the exchanges themselves. New York Times last week had an incredible story on Sunday talking about the political, in some cases, decisions that they made to delay naming the regulations and all this kind of stuff. This is a train wreck. This really is. And they had ample warning from the people who were operating the computer technology and all this stuff. They said, this isn't working. You have to do something. And what Sebelius has said publicly and privately over and over again, it's like, don't worry about it. We're working really hard. We're going to wish it and make it come true. That is the big problem.
Christine, how real is the possibility that they knew that the rollout itself was not ready for prime time, but fearing the backlash that they would have inevitably gotten from those on the right, they said, you know what, we got to put this thing out. We can't delay anymore.
Well, I think that's a good point. I don't think the administration and President Obama wanted to back off the program, particularly with the pressure on the Hill over this whole shutdown to try to repeal it or defund it. And, you know, Matt's right. It has not gone well, particularly the national computer network. Some of the states like Connecticut and others that have their own health network have been working well. But what I would say is this. Back in 2005, when we rolled out the Part D changes in Medicare, that also stumbled for quite a while. Any new program like this, and this program has 13,000 new health care products, is going to take a while to get the bugs out. On the other hand, you can't wait too long because people are going to back off from going on the computer network and trying to sign up if they feel they can't get on. I would say one last thing. In Massachusetts, when Obamacare was rolled out, people went on 18 times.
You mean Obamacare Part 1? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Good point.
Not a joke.
Applicants went on 18 times to look at things before they made their decisions. So it's really too early to say, you know, whether because there have been very few enrollees yet, what's going to happen. But you don't want to discourage them, particularly the younger people that need to sign on, the healthy people, in order to make this program work.
But it's not too early to say that if they don't get enough people to sign up by December, this system is screwed. I mean, they're looking. The program might be delayed.
Well, they have till March, I think, don't they, Matt?
They do. Perry, here's the other part of this, though, and this is something that was brought up to me a few days ago. Part of this is also about the president's argument that government can do big things to improve people's lives. And then you have something like this, a big thing, and it becomes, you know, a pain.
I think you're right, Craig. That's the thing, is this law was not just about health insurance. It was also like, can the government take on this big challenge and succeed in doing so?
Yeah.
And so far, it's been really messy to see that, the healthcare law. And the worry is not just that the website doesn't work today. I'm not sure, based on what I've read so far, that on December 15th, which is the day that if you sign up for insurance, it'll go into effect for next year, that the website will be working then either. By December 15th, it really has to be working.
Perry Bacon, Christine Niedermeier, Matt Welch, big thanks to all of you, and a big thanks to you as well. I'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern. My special guest, former Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison. First, Disrupt with Karen Finney.